All right, so I would like to welcome everyone to Connecticut House's July Roundtable. We're welcoming Nate from SIGA to just sort of chat about airtightness, and he'll give us a quick intro to the company, and then we'll see where it takes us.
Yeah. I'm sure you guys probably have all heard of Sega, so I won't bore you with the full. We have like an intro to Sega that's 70 slides long, so don't worry, I'm going to give you about seven of them. But is it okay if I share my screen quick for a minute? Is that going to work, or
Yeah, please.
is that going to be
I don't know. We'll find out.
let's see. All right. Can you guys see the slides?
Yeah, we can see your whole PowerPoint.
Okay, good. Yeah, so
Great.
I'm
Yeah.
Nate. Thank you, Sarah, for the intro. I'll be quick with this. I won't bore you to death. But I've been working with Sega for about 3 years. And Sega as a company has been around since 1966, and it's since the 70s have focused exclusively on products for airtight building envelopes. And the motto since then is we strive for a world of zero energy loss buildings. It's a family-owned company. Here's Reto and Marco, two Swiss brothers, standing in one of the two net zero factories in Switzerland. And there's kind of three tenets of SIGA. So everything is done in-house. All the research and the development is done in-house. So we have our own labs, our own lab techs, our own chemists who are kind of tinkering with the formulas and checking on the permeability and the adhesion. We have our own manufacturing, so all the machinery, a lot of it's designed in-house. And then we do education and outreach. So lunch and learns, workshops. We have one workshop in October going to Switzerland. So we do two every year. We send a bunch of people, um, architects and contractors and stuff who work with Sega products and are interested in learning more. We send them to this kind of intensive workshop in Switzerland twice a year. We have our own not quite so beautiful training facility in Salem, New Hampshire as well, where we have kind of daily workshops that are available for anyone. And this results in like a suite of products. You probably heard of some of these, but we have house wraps, building membranes, vapor control layers, and flashing tapes for the outside, air sealing tapes for the inside. So everything's designed with a specific purpose, a specific permeability, depending on the application. 400 countries, or sorry, 40 countries worldwide, and 500 employees at SIGA. So pretty big growth since starting in Switzerland in 1966. And I'll kind of leave it there. I won't go into too much of the whole presentation because I can bore you to death with that. But know that we do have, in addition to the products, we have a kind of a suite of services that we offer. So we will do educational reach out like lunch and learn. We have an application and engineering team. So we'll do hydrothermal modeling for you. If you have a question about condensation risk or something, that's all done in-house. And then we have mock-up reviews, job site reports. So a lot of hands-on training and support basically on the job site as well. So that's a kind of a 2-minute, I think, overview of SIGA, kind of what we do, the products that we offer, some of the services. And again, all of this is designed to go into building envelopes to make airtight building envelopes that are safe so that they can basically allow for drying. That's the ideal condition, at least in the Northeast here. We want to have, kind of a breathable, or it doesn't have to breathe. That's kind of a misnomer that a building has to breathe. Like it's not an actual living thing, but it has to be able to dry. A vapor drive is going to happen, and you need to allow for that vapor to kind of move through. So in an ideal world, our interior products are
Is it just me or are we stalled?
No.
It's not
Okay.
not just you. Uh-oh. Nate, if you can hear us, you seem to be frozen.
Well, I'll take this time to introduce Kat, who's hopefully when Nate joins us again, she'll sort of take the helm for guiding the rest of the meeting. Looks like he just popped out, so he's probably going to come back in again.
Yeah.
One of the things I thought was sort of neat about SIGA is on the front of their website, they talk about wanting to be zero, support zero energy buildings, which I think is neat that they have that really broad view, and they play a role on that. But I like that they, are thinking really big picture.
Yeah. Sarah, is there anything I need to know as far as like logistics, like who's actually running the Zoom link? Like if you leave, is it going to remain, like, do I need to log in a certain way or anything like that?
I just made you a co-host.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So who here has used SIGA products? All right, 1, 2. And maybe other people whom we can't see.
I was just looking if we're waiting on Nate to come back. I could pull up my current project and show you some pictures of
Yeah, sure.
some
be great.
pretty
SIGA
pretty SIGA
installations.
stuff.
Yes, please.
Okay, let me see here. And this is very impromptu, so
Yeah, understood. That's what it's supposed to be.
I did not plan for any of this. All right, first I gotta find the Zoom thingy. And I will share this one. All right, so you guys can all see that? Oh, Nate.
Yeah, nice.
There we go. Yeah.
There it is. Okay, so we just had window install on our passive house project up in Sharon. So as you can see, SIGA Madrex all
right.
over the place.
Can you
So
guys hear
it's
me okay? I'm sorry.
yeah, yay, you're back.
There's a
are.
thunderstorm, I swear, and the power went out, of course.
Of course, yes,
Oh.
naturally.
Yeah. And so I don't know if it's gonna go out again. It's pretty dark and windy out there right now, but
Okay.
we'll do our best. Sorry about that.
That's
Um,
okay.
Quite all right.
So if it
So
happens
I-
again, don't blame me. It's the gods that be out
Yeah.
there. But yeah, so where is this project?
This project I'm doing a little impromptu show and tell is in Sharon.
Oh yeah, is this
Yeah.
the Patriquin
No, this is
Which one?
Tama Architecture and it's with
BC?
BBC.
BC? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and Croft. This is part of actually the Croft panelized system.
okay.
So it showed
Okay.
up on site with SIGA already.
Yeah, I was out there not too long ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, now I didn't recognize the picture, but yeah,
Yeah.
the panelized one.
Yeah.
BPC has a couple projects going, but
Yeah. So yeah, so I thought I'd just scroll through.
yeah, do
Some
you guys know how the
pictures.
Myrex work? For vapor control, do you guys specify a lot of like interior vapor control layers?
I do. Whether or not
Yes.
the builder actually includes it in the end, it's a
Right.
different story. But I like, as a belts and suspenders approach, I always specify a smart vapor barrier on the interior.
Yeah.
But it's really dependent on the project. Yeah, so this is our project that's going to be part of the Build Green CT Spotlight Tour in August.
Oh, cool.
I don't think it's been announced yet, but we're on the docket for it. So, so yes, please continue. I was just kind of filling
Yeah.
time. So
No, well, thank you.
share.
No, I mean that was really pretty much it. I could have kept going and showing you some Sega products and stuff like that. But no, that was it for the intro. I just wanted to go through the company,
Yeah.
kind of our approach. We do approach things a little differently. Like everything's designed with a purpose. So we have exterior and interior tapes. They're not kind of generic. A lot of other stuff that's out there are kind of just tapes, flashing tapes and that kind of thing. But a lot of thought and research goes into like exterior tapes that are UV stable, that are semi-permeable, so allowing some drying, allowing some vapor to get through. Interior tapes are 10 times more vapor closed, so there's a 10-to-1 ratio between exterior and interior products, even in the tapes themselves.
I think that's where I get lost,
Yeah,
is in the tapes and which ones are compatible with the others.
yeah, it's a little,
Um,
it does add a little bit of work in terms of more things to keep track of. And
Yeah.
so it definitely, like a lot of the contractors, they just call it like the green one or the gray one, or the
Mhm.
white one to simplify it.
Yeah.
But,
And I know BPC specifically asked for Fentrim
yes,
for all of our window indoor installs.
yeah. So Fentrim is probably the most, like, just in terms of use, probably the more popular product that we have
Mhm.
for window sealing. There's also a version of it. So the Fentrim 230 gray um, is a product that seals around windows. And then there's the Fentrim 430, which actually seals between, it's designed specifically to seal between like the sheathing and the concrete of the foundation. So it'll bond to concrete without a primer.
So, I think only Trip and I are the ones that have used Sega before. So I think it would actually be helpful to everyone else to do like a 101 of all your product line.
Oh, sure. I can
Which
share
which
again.
ones are, yeah, which ones are great for which
Yeah.
applications.
I'd be happy to do that. I just wasn't
Yeah,
sure if you guys would be interested in that, but let me
I
see.
think it would be extremely helpful.
Let me see if I can get this up again without the lightning striking me down. Um, all right, we'll go through this part we already did.
And to everyone who's on the call, please show us your beautiful faces if you can. It makes it much more fun to be on calls like this when we can see, oh, look at Paul. He's a good looking guy. Jill too. Hey.
All
Jill.
right, so yeah, I can go through the product line uh, one by one here. And if you have any
Yes.
questions, just jump in. But they're basically everything's divided into like 3 different categories. So building membranes for interior or exterior. So WRBs or vapor control layers. And then adhesive tapes both inside and outside, like we talked about. And then we do have some sealants that come like in a tube, like caulk for caulking and sealing as well. So for exterior WRB, that's kind of more of your mechanically applied house wrap. The Sega MyVest 200 is a very vapor open 3-ply house wrap. So it's got a US perm of 54, so it allows a lot of drying capacity to the outside, but it's air and water tight. Comes in a variety of widths, so 18-inch, 5 feet, or 10 feet. So different rolls for different applications, different roll widths. Um, Sega MyVest 500. So this is the peel and stick option. So this is an exterior WRB, which works great to make a really continuous air and weather barrier because it's got a full adhesive backing. Comes in 18 inches or 5 feet. All of the adhesive products for Sega will work in pretty cold weather. They'll work down to like 14 degrees. And the Fentrim tapes, some of the tapes themselves will actually bond to concrete without a primer. So there's really strong adhesive. It's all solid acrylic adhesive on all of our adhesive products. Um,
Why
very
would
tear
someone,
resistant.
I
Yeah,
got a question.
sure.
Why would someone use the self-adhered version versus the mechanical version? What would be the reasons why you would go from one product to the other?
I mean, I think the self-adhered is going to give you the most continuous air and weather barrier, because it's going to be fully adhered. You're not going to have to tape the joints, so there's less margin for error with the mechanically applied. You have to tape every seam. You're going to staple through it, so you're going to penetrate it who knows how many thousands of times. This self-adhesive on the self-adhesive of the Midas 500 allows some like self-sealing. So there's like a layer of adhesive. So when you do penetrate it for like your rain screen or your siding, that penetration is going to be sealed by the adhesive that's on the back of it. So it's just going to give you a more durable and continuous kind of air and weather barrier. I would
Is
say is the
this
main
what
thing.
you would find most in like commercial projects?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say most of the multifamilies that we work on will use the 500, which is the self-adhered.
Mhm.
But you and the 200 is probably more residential, but we also see the self-adhered on a lot of residential projects as well. But yeah, not too many commercial. It tears a little easier. It's not as durable.
Mhm.
And there's just more of a more margin for error when it comes to like sealing all of the seams and that kind of thing.
Right. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. And this is kind of more of a niche product. You see more and more of these on the market though. So for open clad, rain clad systems, this is a UV stable air and weather barrier it doesn't have any writing on it. So it's basically going to be kind of a discrete black WRB. You can go up to 2 inches in terms of the cladding. So it's for UV stability. It has some tape kind of top and bottom kind of already assembled or already installed, so it makes the install a little easier. It's not full adhesive though, so you do have to kind of peel off the back. You see the tape on the top and the bottom, so you do have to remove that backing for it to work. But yes, very stable, easy to use, and it has that SIGA adhesion. Basically, we call it SOB, which is a bad acronym, but it's SIGA on board. Did you guys hear the thunder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you right now?
Like,
What?
Kingston, New York.
Kingston. Okay. Wow.
Like
Is
dark,
that
On its
coming our way?
here.
It's pretty dark over here too.
probably coming your way. And this is the Meyer. So this would be the interior vapor control layer. So it's pretty unique on the market. There's a lot of other, quote unquote, smart membranes out there. This one functions a little differently. So most smart membranes, when you hear the term, it's like a variable membrane. So depending on the relative humidity in the space, the permeability of the membrane is going to change based on that humidity level. So if it gets up to like 80%, 90% relative humidity, which might happen during construction or something like that, um, that that membrane is going to open up. It's going to become a lot more permeable. SIGA Mirex is actually directional. So it's not variable, it's directional. On the interior face, the side that faces the conditioned space, it remains very vapor closed. On the outside, the exterior face, which faces the wall or roof cavity, it's 5 times more vapor open. So it allows drying back into the building when that's needed. So, you can think summer months or when that vapor drive in the Northeast is kind of reversed. We get a humid day outside, we have a vapor drive coming from the outside in. This will allow drying back into the space, but it will block it always from getting in there because there's never really a situation where you want it to get into the wall cavity if you can avoid it. So it functions. It's pretty unique. It's the only one on the market that functions in a directional nature like that.
Mhm.
Wet guard. This is for mass timber. So I don't know if you guys worked on mass timber projects. It's not a.
There we go. How does it do that, Nate?
Oh, see the Mirex.
Yeah.
They say if they tell you they'll have to kill you. They don't say. It's patented. It's tested. It's verifiable. But I don't know if it's a European thing or if this is true in the States as well. But there's like a lot of like corporate secrecy and like I think they're afraid of like corporate espionage and people stealing secrets and stuff. So it's kind of a guarded thing actually. So I don't know how it does it, to be honest. It has something to do with obviously the matrix and how it's woven together. And but I know that it's been tested and that it works essentially the way it says it does. But yeah, I don't know. We've asked for, and they don't answer. So I'm not sure.
The magic of science.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it took like 10 years to develop. Like it was a lot went into it. There were a lot of what's it called? Trial and error situation
Mhm.
that went into it. And everything at Sega too is designed in-house, like I said. So and they don't outsource it. So a lot of other companies they might design their product, but then it's just made at a factory where their name kind of gets stamped onto it and then the next run could be a different company's product and that kind of thing. But everything is made in house here, so it allows us to control some of the quality and tinker with some of the design a little bit easier that way.
Very cool.
Yeah. Wet guard. So this is for mass timber. It's a translucent. You can't really tell in the picture here, but it's a translucent membrane. So it's really designed for like mass timber slabs. So you put this on the floor of a mass timber project, it'll protect the water from basically soaking up water for however long it's going to be exposed. You can tape the edges so then you won't have water kind of pouring down your kind of wall to floor connections, which can stain the wood and can warp the wood if it gets wet and then direct sun, so it can cause some damage. So this was designed for mass timber in Europe, and it's starting to become more of a thing over here actually, but probably more of a European product at this point. Has anybody done any mass timber projects recently?
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah. I've only worked on a couple with Sega. Actually, and surprisingly in New York City, which was interesting.
So is this so it's meant to peel off after construction?
No, it'll stay on. So
Oh.
so your floor, you're typically your floor in a commercial or multifamily situation is going to have some kind of fireproofing, soundproofing. So it'll get covered on the floor, and then your ceiling can be exposed so that the CLT, the nice thing about the CLT and the mass timber is that you get this nice solid wood exposed
Right.
surface. But the floors usually have to have some other, some kind of soundproofing or fireproofing on it. So it just gets covered up. It won't come off ever. it's sticky. It's very sticky. And then here's some of the Fentrim tape. So this is the 430 gray. The Fentrim is probably like the strongest tape that we make in terms of just like adhesive power. And this was released to basically seal at that base joint detail. So this is from sheathing to foundation. No primers required. You do have to roll it, but it'll basically seal that whole perimeter. So you're not relying on like sill seal or kind of an uneven foundation where it's just not going to be 100% all the time. So you're taking all the guesswork out of that base joint, which is a pretty big linear potential leak. And then the 230s, Fentrim 230, I don't know if you can see in this picture, but it's got this little tab on it that doesn't have backing paper on it. It's a 5/8 pre-fold that allows you to work right from the roll. It'll attach to the window and allows for like a nice continuous installation without having to take the backing paper off. So you can basically have that pre-fold stick adhere to the window first, get it perfectly lined up, and then take the backing paper out and kind of fold it over to your sheathing or whatever layer you're working with. It's pretty unique. It's a simple little detail, but I think once people start working with it, they really appreciate it. And this is probably the most loyal, like, not every contractor uses every Sega product, obviously, but a lot of them will stick with the Fentrim, even if they're using something else for their house wrap or something like that, or their WRB, because they like that pre-fold and the simplicity of it. And again, this is a perm 1.7, so semi-permeable, allowing some vapor to get out. So if anything gets in that shim cavity on the window, it's allowing some drying. There's a product on the inside, Fentrim IS20, which is a different color, which is 10 times more vapor closed. So this will block any moisture from getting in that shim cavity, but it has the same exact design as the 230 gray. It has that little pre-fold. It's primarily an air seal on the interior of the window. And do you guys recommend taping does everybody tape around like the exterior sill on the outside? Or do you typically leave that open to seal it, right? Yeah. Sometimes you meet somebody who they don't tape that, and then it's almost imperative that they have a bulletproof air seal on the inside, so you don't have a big pressure difference between inside and out. You can draw water like right up from the bottom if you leave if that bottom sill is left untaped.
Mhm.
And then the green tape, Reson, so interior tape, again, vapor closed it'll have a similar vapor profile to the inside face of the Myrex. So this is used for like the Myrex seams and any interior air seal that you might need to do. It can be used around the windows as well. It'll have the same vapor profile, so it'll work there, but it's just not as easy to use because it doesn't have that little pre-fold. And then the only impermeable tape that we make is called Reson 430 Gray. It's shown here in a preformed corner. So this is for obviously flashing windows. This tape, I don't think we have it in this now because it's newer. So it's not even in this PowerPoint, but this also comes in roll form. So it comes in like a 6-inch and a 9-inch roll. So you can I always recommend to use it on the sill for an impermeable pan flashing basically. So you can use these corners on the bottom with the 9-inch Reson Gray, and that's going to give you a nice impermeable, very durable sill pan. Because if you got your hands on this stuff, this tape is like pretty thick, pretty robust. So it's scratch resistant. If you're moving windows around or on shims and stuff like that, it's not going to tear that easily. And then I recommend usually like one of the wig glove tapes, which comes later, to go around the jams in the head, which is more semi-permeable, allowing some drying. So I only recommend the impermeable tapes at the sill where you might have bulk water or something kind of sitting on there. But some people just use it around the whole window opening, and that's fine as well. Twinette double-sided tape. This is used for installing the Myrex if you don't want to staple it. So you can basically put this on the studs and the ceiling joists. You pull off the backing paper, and then you can run the membrane right onto the double-sided tape. It's adds some time for sure, and I think it's not absolutely necessary, to be honest with you. The staples, we've done tons of passive house projects that staple the Myrex. You're not going to get a lot of air leaks through the staples that stay in there. But this does allow for if you're really concerned about your blower door number, you use this tape, and then where you're sealing your sheetrock is going through an adhesive layer. So it's just adding in kind of a bulletproof layer of air sealing to the Myrex membrane itself. And then this is kind of like the jack of all trade tape for us. The wig glove tape is an exterior flashing tape that's used for seam taping on the Myrex 200. Any penetrations, it can be used for sealing windows. It has the same kind of US perm as the Fentrim, so it works for window sealing. It just doesn't have that pre-fold. And once you get your hands on it, it's a little thinner too. So the Fentrim is more robust, thicker, and has more adhesive, but the wig glove was used for window sealing before Fentrim came along. And it comes in like every width, like 2.5, 4-inch, 6-inch, 9-inch, 12-inch, so almost anything. So it's kind of like jack of all trades flashing tape, UV stable up to a year for the outside.
And the numbers are associated with the size of
yeah 60 millimeter, 100, 150, and 230. Yeah, so that's 2.5, 4, 6, 9, and there's a wig glove 300, which is 12-inch as well. 2040. I've never sold this. I don't know. We have it available if you want it. It's just a different split. It's like I don't know what the difference is. I mean, I guess there's certain applications where that comes in handy, where you have like a 2040 split on the 60 millimeter tape, but I don't know, just forget. Oh, and black, the wig glove black. So this is used for that, the 700, the Miva 700 with the rain screen. So we have a wig glove tape that you can use to seal that membrane and any kind of penetrations through it. You can flash the windows with it. There's different widths in this tape as well for that specific kind of niche design. with the open clad rain screen. And this one comes in 2042, which is and these are kind of cool. There's a whole kind of different widths for different penetrations and they have fen trim tape, which again was one of the strongest tapes that we make. So this is great for wire penetrations, pipe penetrations, plumbing vents. They go up like to 8-inch ventilation ducts and stuff like that. So there's kind of a suite of these that are available.
Are they have temperature rating for flues or refrigeration pipes?
Yeah, that I'd have to get back to you on. It's not really designed for high temperature. It's more for fresh air and exhaust air. I don't know. I don't think it's tested for any kind of extreme temperature. I mean, it's basically an EPDM gasket integrated with the fen trim tape. So it's really more of an air sealing thing for ventilation, not for heating and cooling, I would say. But I'll look into that for you if we have any. Not to my knowledge, we don't have any testing. If you do need primer, this is the DocSkin primer. The fen trim doesn't need primer. The Riesling grade doesn't need primer. If you wanted to use Wig Love will require some primer. Yeah, no toxins is kind of interesting. So all the products that Sega makes have 0 VOCs. It's very clean, very healthy, no off gassing. And everything can be used in cold temperatures down to 14 degrees. And then this was developed and released for areas that you can't use tape, and there's definitely situations where that will obviously be the case. So we have a hybrid sealant, which is paintable, quickly workable. The big downside is it comes in white or black. So we're not like a sealant company that has like 1,000 different options. We have like white or black. So we're a tape
But it's
company
paintable.
primarily. What's that?
But it's paintable.
But it's paintable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's kind of a multi-purpose thing. You could use it to seal anything that's kind of tricky to get tape on. It's obviously compatible with all of our Sega products. It's one thing to keep in mind whenever you're mixing a sealant with tapes is to make sure you're checking the compatibility between the products. So pretty much anything that's silicone based, tape is not going to stick to. Nothing really sticks to silicone. So you got to make sure if you're going to use like a sealant around the windows, but then you have like a seam tape that's coming across, you want to check that compatibility with your architects, manufacturers reps, whoever, just to make sure that there's no issues there, that it'll bond chemically or at least pass a pull test so it will last for air and water sealing. And we do that. We have a whole database of that. And then services, so online lunch and learns, any architects, I'd love to come out. We do 30 minutes. First we buy you lunch, then we do 30 minutes, kind of a building science, air sealing, moisture management presentation. And then I bring some mock-ups, like a 2x2 mock-up, and we actually flash with some windows, mock-up windows, and we'll flash the opening and kind of use some of the products, get your hands on some of it and install it. It's pretty popular. It gets you out of your seat, out in front of your computer, and get some hands-on experience, which a lot of architects seem to appreciate. And then these workshops I mentioned, so that one looks like that's not in Switzerland. I'm not sure where that one is, but we do have one that's in Switzerland, in Rooswell, which is at like 40 minutes outside of Lucerne. Beautiful area in the Alps. Twice a year we have that. And then in New England, we have a center in Salem, which is where you can just register for a workshop whenever you want. And someone will be there to walk you through all the different details. And for the architects, we will do reviews and plan reviews and stuff to help with air sealing. And you guys might not need it, but if it's needed, we're there to help. We have a lot of, we call them recovering architects on the staff. So people who worked as architects before, got burned out for one reason or another, and ended up working for Sega and kind of love doing some plan reviews and kind of getting acquainted with some of these details and being involved with some of these projects. So we kind of have a heavy architect designer heavy approach to our manufacturing representatives, I guess. And I mentioned this before, hydrothermal modeling. So if you're worried about a condensation risk, how much insulation do you need? Is this wall, basically, is this building detail safe? We can do that free of charge. We have engineers and stuff on staff to go through that. I know you probably do a lot of that in-house, but just in case if you don't, we have an option available for you.
That's really great. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, we have guys that use it quite a bit, and then just, you know, they're concerned. They want to add, they're like moving some insulation around from the wall to
Yeah.
and they want to make sure, hey, is this safe in this climate zone? And yeah, it's pretty
Great.
quick. You give us like a day or two, and we'll turn it around for you. Like I said, compatibility and testing. So this comes up a lot actually. So because people are always mixing, matching products all the time, and it's like they have a question: can I use this with? Can I use Fentrim with Stowe? Can I use Liquid Flash for Zip Liquid Flash with Wiglove? And so we have a large database. We can, if we have it tested already, we'll give you the testing data. If not, we send samples to Switzerland to the lab, and they actually do the tests. That takes good about 10-12 weeks, so that doesn't happen fast, but we can do it, and then we'll have the testing in the database ready to go when it's needed. And job site training, so we do a lot. I do a lot of this. This is kind of like after sales service. The product's on site, the plans have been reviewed, everybody's on the same page, but now we got to make sure that the people that are going to be installing it are doing it right. They have the tools, they have the knowledge. So we go to sites and we do a mock-up. We'll, you know, flash a window opening or put up a section of the WRB, whatever's needed. So we do quite a bit of that. And then job site reports, when something is a problem, there's a leak, there's an issue, we can do a comprehensive report and kind of see what happened, kind of go through it detail by detail. And yeah, so you guys did see most of the presentation, so hopefully you didn't get bored to death. But yeah, so that was kind of an overview of our products and services. You guys have any burning questions before the lightning strikes and I can't, I lose power again?
Is anyone else out there? Brian,
Is there
do you have anything?
one or more product that will work on a roof?
Oh, good question. How do I answer this? So technically no, but also yes, because if you're using like the MyVest 500 as your air and weather barrier, you kind of want to wrap it right up over the roof, and then you're going to put some furring down and another layer of sheathing and a roof membrane and a roofing material, then yes. So if it's kind of at that point, it really becomes a continuation of your air barrier. It doesn't have much to do. It'll add some if a leak does make its way through there, something will give you some protection, but it's not designed to be on a horizontal surface. And it's not designed for like directly under metal with that kind of heat buildup and stuff, but it has been used in that way quite a bit. So as long as you're kind of having almost a vented, 1.5 inch vented space on top of the membrane, and then like a kind of an additional layer, it's fine. But if you're just putting it like as your roofing underlayment and then going right on top of it, we don't recommend that. It's just not designed for that. It's not tested for that. So yeah, but that's a good question. It comes up a lot, actually. Yeah.
When you do some of your modeling, I know most of us probably design here in the New England area, where we're climate zone 5. But when you get into different climate zones, is there different approaches that you recommend based on the location and how to provide either the air barriers, vapor barriers, et cetera, in your kind of review with architects?
Yeah, I mean, with me personally, I only kind of get into New England stuff, New York and Connecticut actually. But I know the guys like the engineers will get questions from Texas and from some southern states. We are more of a cold climate biased company because it's started in Switzerland, Central Europe there. So most of the products were designed for that climate, right? And we've developed some products specifically for the U.S. market. Like actually, the MyVest 500 was designed specifically for the U.S. market, but again, it was designed more for a New England um, climate, like climate zone 5 and stuff like that. That's not to say it wouldn't work, like in you know a different climate or anything like that. But most of it is cold climate centric. Obviously, if you're in like a really humid climate, it's like a Florida or something like that, it's almost completely the reverse of what we're doing up here.
Well,
Uh,
given your experience primarily in New England, Connecticut, New York,
Mhm.
what is your opinion about needing to provide the vapor barrier on the interior side of walls? I know that, typically the energy code has required that in our
Mhm.
designs. Based on at least some of the input that I've been looking into, have never detailed it with a vapor barrier on the entire interior side of the wall because of the fact that we are kind of a mixed climate and
Mhm.
drying in both directions seems like it's necessary. I was curious where you stood on the need for the vapor barrier on the interior side of the wall, given cold climate concerns.
Yeah, I mean the Myrex allows for some drying back into the space, so it mitigates some of those concerns. But I do hear what you're saying. Um, Not everybody like I think with Myrex, it's not going to hurt. That's a simple answer. It's a good idea. And if you're going for like a passive house design or something like that, it's a no-brainer to basically to have an interior air barrier, exterior weather barrier, kind of a double approach there. But it really depends on the contractor, the detail itself. If you have continuous insulation on the outside of the sheathing, you probably don't need a vapor barrier on the inside because that sheathing is going to remain pretty warm and that condensation risk is going to be pretty low. But yeah, it kind of depends. I know like in if you get into the Adirondacks, it's required. And they still use poly up there, believe it or not, which is weird to
Wild.
see. Um, yeah. And so, you know, there it's required in like the Hudson Valley where I am, kind of central New York, Western New York. Um, it's kind of an open question, to be honest with you. It seems to be required, but it's not enforced and not everybody does it.
The science seems a little wishy-washy, in other
Yeah,
words.
yeah, no, it is. It's there's not a clear answer.
Um, I mean, I can offer up my opinion on that. It's from my understanding, a lot of times we haven't up in the Northeast, we haven't really needed something like, a Madrax or a smart vapor barrier because for the most part, we have plaster and paint on our walls, and that acts as a vapor barrier on its own, like paint is a vapor barrier. Where you
Mhm.
get into issues is if you're putting vinyl as a wallpaper, a wall covering. Um, that changes the science of your building assembly and how that has an ability to dry in or out. So there could be condensation stuck in your wall assembly because you put a vinyl wall covering in,
Right.
in
And maybe
your
that's more on some
finish.
older houses, right? If you're doing a new
Yeah.
house, almost everybody, I think, is designing with a continuous layer of insulation on the exterior of the building. So I guess to that point, now you're moving that dew point way outside of the building envelope, and you don't have to worry about it quite so much. But in older construction, where you only have 2x4 walls and maybe some bad insulation in there could be much higher potentials if you're starting to get to very tight houses that you're going to be causing mold and mildew issues inside of those buildings because they don't have that movement of the vapor of the dew point towards the outside of the wall or outside of the wall. We ran into this in a conversion that we were doing. We tightened up some affordable housing in Groton and made it very tight, but we did not do much to add any insulation to the assembly. And it unfortunately did cause mold and mildew issues, primarily in the kitchens and the bathrooms because of their high moisture content, but where they did not have these issues previously because the buildings were so leaky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually just had this conversation, Brian, with Damon. Damon Seidel. I met Brian through another panel discussion for AIA, and I just had this conversation just on Friday with Damon, and he was asking me about where your vapor barrier should be in your assembly, right? And whether or not, oh wait, no. The question, that was another question. The question was, do we really need ERVs? I know we're getting sidetracked here, but the the connecting point is that we are building really airtight buildings now. And so we have to be more mindful of vapor barriers and ERVs because we're building really tight buildings. I mean, otherwise, my home is super leaky. It's a barn. Do I need to worry about an interior air barrier, vapor barrier? No. Do I need, I don't need to worry about an ERV necessarily because it's a sieve. Air goes in and out all the time. So there's no there's no way for anything to get really like stuck in an assembly. But if I were to do a renovation on my home and do a, deep energy retrofit, I would have to add, depending what I did with the insulation, I would have to definitely add an ERV. And for me, I would feel much safer having an interior vapor barrier on like a deep energy retrofit because it's insurance. And if you're spending that much money making your building high performance, I would want that kind of insurance. That's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I would think to Brian's point, if you do have exterior installation and that dew points move outboard, it technically might not be necessary that sheathing is going to stay warm, but you also have to remember that nothing's perfect, nothing's installed
Yeah.
perfectly. So it is an insurance in some extent. That's a good point. But yeah, as you start to tighten things up, you have to pay attention to this stuff. You don't want to
Mhm.
trap moisture. That's why it's important to have things on the outside that allow drying to the outside. And if you do put a vapor barrier up on the inside, I do think it should at least be variable or be directional, like the Myrex, so it'll allow some drying back into the space. You don't want like the poly will trap moisture, where these smart membranes won't. So they're pretty safe, I would say,
I
honestly.
think there's a lot of education though that needs to go to the contractors relative to this. Like we can design whatever we want, but it comes, to how it gets installed is vitally important. And unfortunately, I've
Yeah.
had too many conversations with contractors where they have no idea what I'm showing in my drawings because they're
Yeah.
just not used to doing that way anymore. And I'm curious whether or not your company has had a lot of outreach to contractors because I think they're the ones that are lagging behind in the education and the understanding of how all these systems work.
Yeah, that's a big thing we do. I mean, we have the workshops, we have the training center with full size mock-ups, free. We get contractors out there, we offer it to everyone. We do mock-ups on site, to make sure that if it is going to be used, it's used appropriately or installed correctly. And then in a plan review, it's really important to pay attention to the sequencing. So if a contractor frames the house and calls me and says, "Hey, I've heard I got to use this stuff called Madrex, and can I get it from you?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure," but everything's framed already. It's going to be a nightmare to try to make that continuous. So making sure, if he had some of the material on hand to run behind his interior walls, for instance, basically flapping it over maybe so it can connect to an outside air barrier or something. Depends on the details. Basically having stuff on hand and being prepared for the sequencing to make it easier to execute is crucial. Because a lot of times that doesn't happen, and then your install is a lot of little pieces of tape, unfortunately, as opposed to nice continuous membrane. So yeah, so getting involved early in the planning, and then being on site and making sure that it's installed properly. That's a lot of what we do. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, the vapor barrier thing is a good, or the vapor retarder is a good topic. It's something that I think is being debated right now, kind of actively, and I don't see a very consistent approach from different architects to different contractors, to be honest with you, at this point.
Yeah. It's definitely a sticky. I think it's hard to understand also. I mean, I still get tripped up over all the different vapor barriers and their permeability. And a part of it is that they're called different things in different, there's like manufacturer kind of like language, and then
Jargon,
like the
yeah.
building code language. So
Yeah.
it all kind of gets jumbled up in my head. I don't know about you guys, but
Yeah, no,
it's really
it can be confusing for sure.
um who was, oh my God, Foster Lyons. Do you guys read his newsletters? No. Um Brian, I thought I saw, I saw you.
No, I
Have
was
you
just
read
gonna say
Foster
no
Lyons?
rather than just sitting there.
Oh, Foster Lyons is, I believe he was a trained architect and ended up going into building science, I think. But anyway, he has this like email newsletter and that where he geeks out about like building science things, and he had a newsletter about vapor barriers, tapes, and how he wishes there was like some sort of like sommelier, except for tapes. And so you could just go to a person and be like, which tape should I use for,
Yeah.
you know, and which
Well, if
one
you
should
order
I pair
Sega,
it
that's
with?
my job. Yeah.
Like what barrier can I pair this tape with? You know, yeah. So now we have our sommelier. Thank
Yes,
you,
you could
Tim.
reach out to me
Help us
for
all.
any of that stuff for sure.
Yeah.
And I'd be happy to help because there's a lot of different products and compatibility questions. And I
Yeah.
have certain contractors who, for whatever reason, I don't know why I don't care one way or the other. Like they'll use like one Sega product, one Proclima product, one Zip product, one whatever, 5 different things. And it's like, just pick one and just use the system. That there's no compatibility questions. They're all good products. Like, there's some differences and stuff, obviously. But I always advocate for that. And it's like, if it's not Sega, then just make it easier for yourself and just pick a system and stick with it if you can.
Well, I know that going in and trying to get some products from, say, Rings End or other places like that, a lot of times they don't carry the full line of products. So unfortunately, it does end up becoming piecemeal. If you need to get a vapor impermeable tape with a vapor permeable tape, they may have one manufacturer's permeable and another manufacturer's impermeable. And so the contractor's always just looking to get the job done as quickly as possible. So they're not going to wait for it to be ordered and then come in. They're just going to buy whatever's on hand. So I've seen that actually through the supply houses being a common problem with not having the full line of products from a particular company.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I mean, I didn't bring this up in the early on there, but so we do, like, I'd say 95% of our sales are all direct. So we don't have a ton of dealers. Like, we don't have a big dealer network. Sega wants very hands-on, very kind of customer focused relationships and stuff like that. So everything is direct. So it's good and bad. So it's good that you can order, the whole system if you wanted, or you know, you're going to get direct pricing. You can have one person that you're going to talking to for all your technical support that has all the knowledge and everything. It's all kind of consolidated, but you can't run out if you need a roll that day. It's not on a shelf anywhere. So it's good. You know, it's got its pros and its cons. But yeah, I know what you mean. I get a lot of calls like, where can I buy this stuff? I need it like, you know, like an hour ago. And at that point, it's tricky.
Yeah. So, order direct, and what's availability like?
It's 2 to 3 day lead time
Okay.
for anything. If you're in like New York or Connecticut, I stock everything, all the products. So if it is like a box or a roll or something like that, I can
Mhm.
usually get it to you like next day.
Mm-hmm.
If it's like an emergency or something like that.
Yeah,
But if you just kind of order, it's a 2 to 3 day lead time.
that's not bad.
Yeah. You know, we have like coastal warehouses, the one in Peabody, Mass, and one out in Vancouver, actually.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what what did Sarah say our time was? Are we
I think it
nearing
was
Theoretically, an hour.
an
yeah.
hour? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I want to be respectful of your time. I don't want to keep you.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I appreciate it. We lost some time with the lightning strikes. So
That's okay. I was kind of hoping, I've I've only been able to come to these roundtables intermittently, so I'm really excited to see all the people here, and um I'd really like for more people to kind of like show wall sections, or like I'd really love it if we could get together and be like, hey, this is what I'm working on right now. Where would I put all the Sega stuff? Like what would I
yeah,
on what assembly would we do that, you know?
that's a
Um
good idea. Yeah.
I'd love to do that in the future. I think that would be really educational for everyone. So
Yeah. And
think about
if it-
that for the next
yeah.
roundtables.
And if there's a way I can talk to Sarah about getting everybody's email or something, but if
Yeah.
you have a question like that, just email it over and I could work with you directly. And if it is like a SIGA question about where in the
Mhm.
sandwich the materials go or something like that, just
Yeah.
just email it over and start the conversation. For sure.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Hank, that
Well,
would be terrific if you could, yeah, pass that on to Sarah. She'd make sure everybody gets it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to. And I owe you guys, if you guys want to lunch and learn, let me know. If you need those credits, you might be
yeah,
up
I'll probably contact you.
yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah. All
Terrific.
right. Well, thanks
Thank you.
everyone for coming.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
guys.
Enjoy the rest of your thunderstorm. I hope
Mhm.
you keep your power the rest of the
Yeah,
night.
I'm gonna try.
Thanks everyone for coming. We'll see you next month. All
All right, thank you,
right.
everybody.
Have a good evening.
Thanks, Nate.
Thank you. Bye.